with a scent. This week, learn two dishes that possess the scent of the ocean, 굴두부조치 and guljeon. 굴두부조치, oyster tofu hot pot, is a mild oyster dish. It is full of high nutrition. Korean stews are simple to cook. Different ingredients are used depending on the type of jjigae. The combination of these ingredients are excellent. Oyster dishes taste best when it is cold. 굴두부조치 and guljeon. Don't miss it.
안녕하세요. Welcome to More Than Kimchi. I'm Chung Hwa-young. Today we are going to introduce 굴두부조치 oyster and tofu hot pot and 굴jeon pan-fried oysters. Oysters are loved by people all over the world, and from ancient times to now, it has been top cuisine. Today we will learn two ways of enjoying oysters in the Korean style. Shall we now say hello to Mrs. Lee Dong-sun, our cooking instructor. 선생님 안녕하십니까?
안녕하세요.
오늘도 오셔서 감사합니다.
네, 반갑습니다.
We are also happy to have Melanie Billings-yoon as our guest today.
Hello.
Melanie. Thanks for
Hi.
coming again. So today we are using oysters. I hope you like oysters.
Well, everyone likes oysters. They're really kind of king's cuisine.
That's
so
right,
who cannot
yes.
like oysters?
Yeah, so let's take a look at the ingredients first. So for 굴두부조치, 굴 means oysters and 두부 means tofu. So let's start with that. Here I have 두부, which is tofu, and 굴, which is oysters. And for other vegetable, we're going to use only the red pepper and green onions. Very, very simple soup. And for seasoning for 굴두부조치, we'll only use salt, chopped garlic, and fermented fish sauce and sesame oil. That's all. And for 굴jeon, which is pan-fried oysters, we of course have oysters and then flour and egg. That's it for the 굴jeon. And for sauce later, we're going to make vinegar soy sauce, which we will take soy sauce, vinegar, and sesame seeds. That's all. So let's start with the oysters now. Shall I pass you the oysters over here?
자, 먼저 굴두부조치부터 한번 해보도록 할게요.
So the first dish we're going to do is 굴두부조치, which is oyster and tofu hot pot.
네, 자, 요거는 우리 게스트 같이 해주시고요.
Okay.
자, 물 준비하시고요.
So we
여기다가
need to clean the oysters. That will be the first spot there.
자, 물에 소금을 좀 넣고요. 거기다
And in
넣어주세요.
order to clean oysters, what we do is we use salt water. So we will put a little bit of salt.
You don't just run them under the water
No,
in the
you know
sink?
what we do? If you do that way, you're going to lose some of the flavor and even nutrition. So it's very important to use salted water.
So you keep them in the little bath that
Yeah,
they came
that's
out
exactly right. And then also be very gentle when you wash oysters. They are very delicate, and if you handle too roughly, of course you're going to damage them.
of. So these are fresh oysters
Fresh
that you
oysters,
shelled
yes.
just before the program.
That's right. That's right.
자, 소금물에 흔들어 쓰신 다음에 이렇게 체에다가 건져주세요.
Yes. Use a very, very gentle, and then we'll strain them on the sieve there. Yes. So shall I pass the oysters to you?
아니요, 건져 이렇게 건져놓고요. 물기가 빠지도록 이렇게 좀
아하.
건져놔주세요.
Yeah. Just to pass it over
거기다
here.
건져놔주시고
Okay.
그다음에 여기다가 물을 올려놓으셔야 되는데요. 거기 준비된 물을 넣어서 먼저 끓여주세요.
Oh, okay. So first thing what we do, this is a very simple soup dish. And what we need to do is we're going to boil the water. There.
There's no water.
Over here. We'll put the water. And first you are boiling water just with salt. So how much salt should I put in?
아,
in the
물이
water.
끓으면은 나중에 두부를 넣기로 하고요. 자, 먼저 이거 한번 다 넣어보도록
But
할게요.
you don't put salt in the beginning?
After boiling.
Oh, okay. So once the water is boiling, we'll put some salt. How much salt shall we put?
About half teaspoon.
Half teaspoon. So
Just
later,
a touch.
yeah, I'll pass it to you.
자,
So once
그다음에,
water
예.
is boiling, we'll put the salt inside.
자, 요거 두부를요. 먼저 두부 썰어주세요.
Yeah.
자,
So you will
이렇게,
slice the tofu,
이렇게
두부.
썰고요. 자, 이렇게 해서 자,
So
두께가
just basically making a nice slice, serving bite-sized tofu there.
Okay. Now, before the program, you and I were talking about tofu, and I was saying that one really important thing for people to understand is that this is a very firm tofu.
Yes,
Now,
yeah.
I know that you can get ones called silken tofu.
Right, those are too soft for this kind of dish. So when you buy tofu in Korea, they're actually about 4 different kinds of tofu. Some are very, very soft for sundubu, and this is for jjigae, for soup, so which is harder.
So
than
you want to
regular
get
ones.
the firm tofu and be
Right.
sure you don't get the kind in the box.
No, right. Some are really soft. You can't even slice them. So first, the green onion. You're cutting about 4 centimeters, or
So again, I'm learning with
Yes.
Korean food, this
Yes.
is about the same length
same
as
length,
the tubu, right?
That's right, and it gives a nice uniform size. So it's about 4 centimeters, or about 1.5 inches length. You cut those. Then we'll put it back right next to over here. And we are using red pepper, which will give you slight hot flavor, but also a nice color addition. It's
Now,
not
do you
that
need
spicy.
to be careful to remove the seeds or
Yeah.
anything with this
Yeah,
particular kind
what
of
we
red
will
pepper?
do is, as Mrs. Lee is doing now, you're going to cut it in half and clean the inside. So you don't want to use the seeds usually, which is the real hot part.
자, 그다음에
오케이.
이거를 반을 썰어서 반을 썰은 다음에 다시 이걸 넣고 채를 썰으세요.
Yeah. So you are making strips. Cut it in half, lengthwise, and then you will make a strips. That's good. I'll help you a little bit with my knife over here. So this is the only chopping. Aren't you lucky today? You don't have
This is
to
an
worry.
easy recipe.
So you make strips of red pepper. That's the only vegetable. Red pepper and the onions, the green onions are the only one. Put it over this side. There.
This is a very simple dish.
Yes, the water is boiling. The ingredients are all ready to put them in water. So we are going to go to the next step. It's over there. And if you can take the lid off. Do you think it's too hot for you?
No, I have a
Oh,
towel
okay.
that I can use.
Okay, take the lid off.
그리고 거기다가 소금을 네, 아까 얘기한 대로 약간만 넣어주세요.
Put a little bit of salt. We'll put a little bit of salt there. And remember, I introduced you fermented fish sauce, so don't make it too salty. This is just a little bit you're going to put in. Later, we will adjust the flavor with the fermented fish sauce.
소금 조금 주시겠어요?
To pass
자,
to Mrs.
먼저
Lee.
예,
You know,
소금
you've
넣을
mentioned a
거예요.
couple times
Yeah.
fermented fish sauce.
Yeah.
This may be unfamiliar to our Western listeners.
Yeah.
Is it anything like the Southeast Asian nampsa?
Yes, it's a very similar process when we make this fermented fish sauce, but we do use fish, shrimp, and today we are having shrimp sauce. And you know, when we make kimchi, we also use this fermented fish sauce too, or shrimp sauce.
So it doesn't necessarily lend it a strong fishy
No,
flavor.
not really.
Okay.
Yeah. It blends very nicely, and you will enjoy it later.
자,
So the
그다음에
water is
여기다가
boiling.
예, 두부를 넣고요.
And the first thing we will do is put tofu and the vegetable, but not the oysters, because you don't want to cook oysters too long.
Why is that?
Well, it's same as other seafood, because if you cook seafood too long, usually they end up getting too tough, or texture is getting too chewy. And same thing will happen with oysters too. So you want to put the oysters at the last minute. So first you put the tofu and let it boil for a while, and then we'll put the oysters afterwards. So once it's
여기다가
boiling, you'll put the rest of the ingredients that we prepared. The oysters and then the vegetables. So would you like to dump this in there?
I would have dumped it. She's putting it so nicely with her spoon. I have to do the same thing.
Yes, right. You're on front of TV, so
Yeah.
let's make it very neat. And shall we put the vegetable afterwards?
네.
Okay. And after that, the green onions that we sliced.
Turn the heat up just a little.
And then the red pepper strips that we cut.
Well, it's simple, but it's already pretty, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very pretty and nice. And then once it's boiling, we need to adjust the seasoning with the rest of the ingredients that I showed you, the seasoning, chopped garlic, and then fermented shrimp sauce, and then sesame oil at the last minute. That will give a nice aroma as a finished touch.
자, 그다음 여기다가 자, 마늘 넣어주세요. 하나 작은술 넣어주세요.
Here, put some chopped garlic.
So it was 1 spoon, it looked like.
티스푼.
Yeah, 1 teaspoon, maybe slightly
Little
less.
less than that.
그다음에 새우젓을 넣어주세요. 하나 작은술 넣으세요.
So this sauce is called 새우젓. Literally means fermented fish sauce. So, the shrimp sauce. But we do use other fish here, and put about
Just
a 1.5 tablespoon. About 1 tablespoon would be fine. And you can always adjust the flavor. And if you don't care for fish sauce, perhaps you can put a little bit more salt.
그다음에는 마지막에 참기름을 넣어주세요.
So as I mentioned before, the last step we are doing with this dish is putting the sesame oil to give the last touch of aroma here.
Just a little bit of richness, huh?
Yes.
I think Korean food would not be Korean food without that
Without
last
se-
touch of
That's
sesame oil.
right. So here we have tofu, oysters, two kinds of vegetables, which is green onions and red pepper, and 새우젓, which is fermented shrimp sauce, and sesame oil. That's it.
You eat this like you would a soup, not over rice.
That's
or
right.
anything.
Yeah. So
Okay.
you can serve as that dish. Put it in
Very
your bowl.
pretty.
Looks very appetizing.
No one would believe it was as simple as
This
it is.
simple, yeah. It's very appetizing. And you would think that Korean soups are supposed to be very red and spicy all the time, but not really. So when you make 굴전, you will do the same cleaning process. You know, use salt water, and then you wash very gently and drain. And these are the ones already washed.
자, 여기에 제가 소금 후추를 뿌릴 테니까요. 여기다 밀가루하고 이쪽에 달걀을 조금 넣어주세요.
Okay.
네.
So what the seasoning we need for this is just the salt and pepper. So Mrs. Lee will sprinkle a little bit of salt and pepper while she's doing it. Let's put a little bit of flour, and if you can break eggs in here, so we're going to make egg batter.
I think that's something I can do.
Yeah. And
Just
this
one
is
or both?
just both. Let's use both. But this is a very similar process for you too, isn't it? You dress in flour
Oh,
and
yeah.
dip it in egg batter.
We do so many things that way. In fact, we make oysters that way,
Is that
especially in
right?
New
Yeah.
England. It's
Oh.
very popular.
So it'll be interesting to compare the difference in flavor-wise that your 굴전 and our 굴전.
자,
Okay.
그리고, 네, 거기다도 소금을 약간 넣어서
Okay.
저어주세요.
Yeah.
달걀을.
So as you beat your egg, I mean, you already know, put a pinch of salt there. And this 굴, which is drained and put it in this nice tray, is sprinkled with a little bit of salt and pepper.
자, 그 다음에 프라이팬을 달궈줘야 되겠죠?
And heat your pan always. Oh, I see. Okay, put it down.
Okay.
Yeah. And once pan is heated a little bit, you use cooking oil over here. And we'll start making pan-fried oysters.
Okay.
There, put a little bit of cooking oil. And I'll pass this to Mrs. Lee. So wait until your pan is slightly heated. And you don't want to use really terribly hot, then the
So
egg batter will...
you don't start dredging the oysters until the pan is ready.
Yeah, I think because it's a very simple process.
And otherwise, I think it becomes gummy, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
right. So pan is getting hot. We have slightly greased with the vegetable oil.
네, 한 바퀴 돌려주세요. 기름이 다 둘러지도록.
That's good. So the next step is you dredge the oysters in the flours. You coat them in the flours.
플라워스. 그리고 달걀 주세요.
Okay.
Oh, it's
Now
nice to
use
use
that one.
chopsticks.
Yeah. So use this one over this side.
네.
Okay.
그럼
Pass
여기다가
this to her.
달걀을 조금만
Okay,
덜어주세요.
why don't we do that?
You know, I often use my fingers, and then you get that oyster
get all
smell.
over, right.
Chopsticks are much
Much
better.
handier, neater. And then you dip them in the egg batter and then put it in a pan. So very, very simple.
Put it straight in the pan, like that.
Yes.
There he goes.
There. See, simple? 불이 약해야
네,
되겠죠,
불은 한
선생님?
저기 중간
Yeah.
불 정도 써주세요.
So you don't want to make a too high flame. Try to use medium or low. And you don't really have to cook too long either.
Just till it starts to feel firm. Is that what
Yes,
you're looking
yes,
at?
uh-huh.
So this one's still
Yeah.
soft, but this one's getting firm. Okay.
Yeah. That's good.
요거를 마저 좀 밀가루를
그럴까요?
묻혀주시고요.
We'll put them in the flour. And then dip it in the eggs.
This
Smells
was simple,
good.
and they smell good.
Yeah, it smells really good. Hard to talk, so my mouth is kind of watery.
자, 그렇게 굴이
예.
너무 작을 때는
예.
이렇게 몇 개를 붙여서 해주면은 좀 크기가 한 크기로 되겠죠.
Yeah. And you know, we talked about the size of oysters. When you find it's too small, you think you can put couple together. That's one way to make it a little faster and easier. So put 2 or 3 oysters together and make one 전. 다 됐나요,
네,
선생님?
조금 더 만들어
Yeah.
볼까요?
Yeah. Shall I pass that too? Because Melanie already finished her
네.
5 oyster
굉장히 빨리
pan-fried.
하는데.
Yes. And I also want to tell you, 굴전, 전 refers to cooking method. It's a pan-fried. Any food that you are making like a pancake shape or pan-fried food, we say 전. So 굴전, 생선전, 호박전. So many dishes we have. The end that's 전, that refers to the cooking method. Smells really good. Yeah. Okay. I think it's pretty much done. Shall we take off some of the ones that's already
된
cooked?
거는 꺼내주시고요.
Ah, I see. So she's made some over there with 2 or 3
Right,
ideas
to make
in
it slightly bigger. And this dish will be really good for any occasion. Appetizer, orders, or main dishes will be really wonderful. And after this, don't forget, we need to make a vinegar soy sauce. That's the sauce, dipping sauce.
What will make all of this special?
Right, that's right. So don't forget, everybody, we have one more job to do.
Oh, those are really very
Yeah.
굴
pretty.
모양이 그대로 보이죠?
Yeah. I think it looks nice that the shape is all like oysters instead of trying to make it some pretty
Now, in
special
Korea,
shape.
do you normally do this right at the last minute like this, or is
Yes,
this a dish that
yeah.
you make ahead? No,
This
you
is-
do it?
No, you don't do it in a head. This always tastes best when it's real hot.
Okay.
Right
but it only
after.
takes just a minute, so
That's right,
between the
yeah.
soup and the main dish, you can
That's
run out
right,
and
you
fry
can do
them.
it, sure. That's a good way. There. Smells wonderful. So 굴전 is done. Now let's make the vinegar soy sauce, which is really, really simple.
Well, I'm looking forward to this because we've had many dishes that we put vinegar soy sauce
Yeah,
on, and
right.
I've never known how to make it.
Now this is your chance. So we have 3 things we are putting: soy sauce, vinegar, and sesame seeds.
간장 넣으시고요.
And I pass you the vinegar, soy sauce, and then vinegar.
And is there any special kind of vinegar you use?
No, usually, the store-bought regular
Like
cooking
a rice vinegar?
Rice vinegar would be very nice.
Okay. And
That's
I
sesame.
see she put about twice as much soy sauce as vinegar.
And it also, according to your, what you want. If you want it sliced, sour, you can put a little bit more. And if you don't care for vinegar taste, you can put a lot less, or just soy sauce would be fine too. Here, it's all done. Here's 굴전 with the vinegar soy sauce, and then 굴두부조치. There. So you like today's recipe?
Yes, I like it a lot.
That's
this is
great.
something that I actually will go home and try tonight.
Wonderful. Now that we've finished all, let's take a look at the procedure.
Jjigae or stew is saltier and has more ingredients than liquid. It is largely divided into 3 kinds. Doenjang jjigae, bean stew, which is seasoned with doenjang, gochujang jjigae, hot stew, which is seasoned with gochujang, and jeokgal jjigae, fish sauce stew, which is seasoned with jeokgal, fermented fish sauce. Different ingredients go well with each kind. Doenjang jjigae uses mushrooms, clams, and namul, like dale or nangi. Gochujang jjigae tastes good with peppers, fish, and tofu. Jeokguk jjigae often uses oysters or zucchini. Doenjang jjigae tastes different depending on the kind of doenjang and the region. In Chungcheongdo, they eat jeonggukjang. Jeonggukjang is enjoyed by Koreans for its provincial taste. Jeonggukjang is made from fermented beans. Jeonggukjang is mixed with soup and tofu. Kimchi, mushrooms, or clams are added for a nice flavor. A good jjigae has about the same amount of soup as ingredients. It is best when served in a dukbaeki, a hot pot. Kimchi jjigae is a very common dish, but it tastes different in each home. To make the soup, water or myeolchi, or anchovy broth, is used. Some use broth from sagol. Beef broth also gives a unique taste. The soup is important, but what really decides the taste of kimchi jjigae is the kimchi. Kimchi with various seasoning that has been kept for a while is best for a nice hot flavor. Dubu jjigae, tofu stew, is the most common gochujang jjigae. 젓국찌개로 is seasoned with fermented fish sauce made from shrimp or fish roe. Salt is the other seasoning. It is often a clear soup. Doenjang jjigae has a brownish color, and gochujang jjigae has a reddish color, whereas 젓국찌개 has a clear color. Hobak 새우젓 jjigae, made with zucchini and beef, is enjoyed in the central region. Another nice 젓국찌개 is 굴두부조치와 jjigae, made with oysters, mushrooms, and green onions. Long ago, 젓국찌개 was enjoyed in the palace and by the high class, whereas doenjang jjigae and kimchi jjigae was enjoyed by the common class. Doenjang jjigae is good in the summer, kimchi jjigae is nice when cooked with pork, and jeonggukjang is a fine dish for the winter.
I hope you enjoyed our Korean food story on oysters. Let's see now how our 굴두부조치 and 굴전 taste. Let's do it. I'm going to serve it to you guys.
So
To Mrs.
normally you
Lee.
eat the soup first?
Usually what we do is we share the food. We don't really make an individual serving. But sometimes, we can do this way because it's more convenient. So I'll serve this to you a little bit. It's the soup. There. And then I'll have a
Well, it
little bit
looks
for me.
really unusual.
Unusual, isn't it? Tofu and 굴, every ingredient is the mild ones.
Yeah, and so few ingredients.
Yes.
I'm not expecting much flavor. Let's see what I get. Oh, it does have a rich flavor.
Very
not,
good.
Not highly seasoned, but
No,
very
no.
subtle and nice.
You know where this flavor comes from? It's the salted shrimp sauce,
But we
fermented
used
shrimp
only
sauce,
so little.
and garlic. The combination of chopped garlic and 새우젓 makes an incredible flavor.
This is a very light but tasty dish. A big surprise.
Yeah, and I know you don't enjoy soup for your breakfast, but in Korea we really love to have a soup for the breakfast, and this soup is really loved to enjoy as a breakfast. So you have a bowl of rice and this soup for breakfast. 그래서 아침에 많이 먹죠, 보통요?
We wouldn't eat it for breakfast, but it's like
Yeah.
chicken soup. If
Yeah.
you're feeling a little bit ill, this is a wonderful, light
Yeah.
but savory soup.
Yeah. So we do want to serve this soup to actually somebody who's sick or children or breakfast, because we want to start our day with nutritious dish.
Well, it's very
Yes,
healthy.
very good. We should try the 굴전 too, pan-fried oysters. And you mentioned this is very similar to what you've done at home, so you can compare what the difference is there.
Well, I think this kind of pan frying is really an international way of cooking. I mean, you see it in Europe, you see it in the West. What's going to make it different, I think, is this sauce.
That
now,
makes
normally,
a very good sense, yeah.
we'd put maybe a chili sauce on it or a tartar sauce or just a little lemon and butter.
Yeah.
But not soy sauce and vinegar.
Yeah, try it. Try, see, you would like it this way too. Isn't it a nice combination? With little
And
bit
so
of sour.
tender.
Yes.
The sourness is wonderful, but what's really delightful are the oysters. They're not tough at all. They're just so tender.
Very tender, yes. And it's the best season to go out and get some.
Well, I'm ready.
Yes, wonderful. So did you enjoy our recipes today? It's interesting that different countries use the same ingredients different ways. Today you learned how to prepare oysters in Korean style. I do hope you go out and get some fresh oysters and try these wonderful recipes at home. Thank you for joining us, and I promise to be back with another great recipe. 안녕히 계세요.
안녕히 계세요.